Just, and I think Rick's as good as anybody in the NBA of being really organized offensively. There are a lot of play calls, and the guys are in the spots that favor them and highlight their strengths. I think Rick offensively is excellent at that. Historically, he has been, and I see the same thing with or without Luka. They still get to their spots, get to their shots. We're all expecting there to be, again, a high volume of threes attempted. I think that they are committed on rebounding the shots that they might miss out of, I think it's the third or fifth most threes attempted in the NBA. And I see that, like they still got firepower to score.
You talked about Tobias, I think it was a couple weeks ago, about how on your play sheet you had different types of plays for him, whether it was like a post up or pick and roll or whatever. Have you ever had a player in your time here that had multiple different ways?
No, it's a good question. Like when I look and I have every one of you've seen me, and I've done it my whole kind of coaching career, stalk a sidelines with a sheet, and the format of the sheet really doesn't change. My upper right-hand corner is called plays. My left-hand quadrant is side out of bounds, up or down side. Underneath that is what do you do after free throws. And over in the bottom quadrant is just ATOs, like what are you going to do to get somebody a shot. And then on the back, you got your trick stuff, like you need a lob, a back door, whatever. And he takes up a lot of ink. Like when you look at his column, it's heavily marked in, like to the point where Joe gets a heavy dose, Tobias is right underneath him. And so like it takes up one of those quadrants. Now that may not that might not make much sense to you, but for me, as I do this for a job, it does. It's like I'm realizing there's a lot of stuff that I do for him or can do for him. And the versatility that you're mentioning is true. Each one of those plays, it's not like, they're all middle pick and rolls. There's a bunch of stuff, sideline, middle, post, ISO, flare him for a three. He has a skill package that allows me to do that.
Throughout a game, do you ever trip on one and he's doing well in one of them, or is it a thing where you're looking to get some variety?
No, if I see something, I'll run it 10 times in a row. Like I don't feel the need to overthink it. I feel like if there's a matchup, and there are some looks that he has that he has a choice. He can hold it and be isolated. He can, we call it pop or drop. We can drop him into the post and he can take a mismatch. He can hold it and that triggers Joel to come over and set a screen. And so I'm so much more lately into environments. Like it's more than like a narrow opportunity play. It's an environment, and you play the game and you take what the defense kind of tells you or what you feel or what the matchup is, and I place him in a bunch of environments that enable him to do some of the things that you just talked about, and I am fearless of running it, and I mean this 8 times in a row if it's rolling.
On top of what he's done offensively, defensively, he's made a lot of strides forward. What has really impressed you the most on what he's done with that?
The fact that he knew he was under a microscope, and we talk freely about it. It's one of the joys of coaching where I can look at somebody and just tell the truth. Like, this is where you have to improve to help us, and this is where I can help you help us. And the truth is he's always been kind of a gifted scorer. His growth is going to be his passing. His growth is going to be playing off a live ball a little bit more and passing out of a pick and roll. He's so big. That's going to be his growth at 26. But right out the gate at the start of the year, it's like, hey, man, we need you to defend. Like, we want to be the best defensive team in the NBA, and it is in you. I've said many times, if you got character and you're an athlete, that's a great starting point. And he's got them both in abundance. And he's responded. He doesn't want to be looked at as a weak link or somebody that a team's going to pick on in a scouting report. And they shouldn't now. Like, he's prideful, one, and I think his attention to detail in a scouting report and following a game plan and knowing somebody's strengths has grown as a student of the game. And so, like, the base for him to be a multi-dimensional player, offense, defense, is right before our eyes. I see it growing every day.
Right, in studying the Mavericks, what have you seen out of Jalen Brunson?
He's got a swagger. Whatever he may lack in height, he makes up for in heart. I think that he's deceptively athletic. Like, I think he's physically gifted and mentally tough. And we all saw it, didn't we, at Villanova? And it's just, funny enough, I coached against his dad many, many years ago when he played in Australia. And I've kind of followed Jalen for that reason. Just out of curiosity, and he's in our backyard at Villanova, and I see him, what was he, an early second-round draft pick? Yeah. And I just think, like, all those things I just said has equaled that he's contributing and playing. I think Rick does a great job of using him, put in an environment that he has a chance to succeed. He's really establishing himself, maybe as a long-term NBA player.
You've talked about, like, working in an occasional zone wrinkle to your own difference, but are there?
Say that one more time.
I feel like you've talked in the last couple weeks about adding a zone wrinkle occasionally, situationally, your own defense. But, like, at this stage of the season, are you looking to add any other layers to a defense that's already been good? Like, is it like kind of like on offense you talk about? We do vanilla on offense. Like, do you get more sophisticated on defense?
A little bit. I think it's more situationally. We have a zone that we're playing around with. We're pretty good at playing man, and so I'm not as willing to, like, go to a zone unless I'm looking on a court, and we know the percentages of the shooters that are on the court where you have a tolerance level that you want to explore with, and I think we can be good at it in certain situations. To sort of think like that's who we are, I don't think that, but I do think you can use it from time to time based on what the other team has on the floor, or if you're just losing and you just got to do something different, which happened at Brooklyn. Like, we just having a hard time guarding Dinwiddie, and so, like, we went to tried blitzing him a little bit. We went to the zone a little bit. That was more out of desperation and sort of searching than it was out of a strength. One of you guys asked, the last press conference about, like, pressing. Like, is that something, I think it was you, Rich, asked about pressing. Is that something that could be in our wheelhouse? I think from time to time it could, like that second group. I've talked a little bit about a bomb squad mentality, identity. It's been driven more toward, I think, just flying with pace and offense than it has been, helter-skelter, full-court defense. But at times, I think that can be in us. And we saw it the other night more because we had to. We were just down, 5 points with 50 seconds. We had to, and we got results from it.
While we're talking zone, I was going to ask about the Dallas zone. It's something they've used over the past 6-7 years more than any other team.
Yeah.
Is there anything specifically that you see in the tenets of that zone, of that Rick Carlisle zone, that makes it as effective or as prevalent as they use it?
I think it's got a little bit more matchup tenets than just like a static standstill zone.
Right.
Which does make it a little bit different. And in general, like, and I've had just years of experience with zone. We didn't show it really much the other night, but it's. I think some of the things you look to do to attack a zone matchup or otherwise kind of remain the same, and you would think that given Dallas play a zone anyways, and they have had success at it, that if you just looked at the scouting report or you watched the tape, you'd say, well, I bet we get a chance to see quite a bit of zone tonight, or possibility of that. And so we hope that we are better. I think that their zone has been effective for them, and it's true, they play it more than others. And I feel like the difference of theirs to others might be it has more, matchup principles than just sort of a static area type of zone.
Greg, you talked about being two different teams with Joe on the court and not Joe on the court. Do you kind of like the idea, even though you would probably prefer Joe to play 40 minutes, but do you kind of like the idea of showing a team a different look defensively with that kind of bottom mentality?
I would rather show them the liquid Joe on the floor. I mean, if the question is, if I can't do that, like, what do we do? we've sort of been living with Al at a 5 and changing up a little bit, where you're not just having people drive on him like they drive on Joe. But, metrics-wise, he actually is still probably best in that spot, although at times I feel irresponsible putting him in that spot. That it's still, like, analytically it's effective for us. And so the other looks could be he could come out and, like, do something a little bit more aggressive on the ball, like a hedge or a blitz type thing. Or maybe we could sit in the zone. But in general, I think our defensive success has been pretty good. And with Al, it's been a tad below Joe. At times a little bit more than a tad. But in general, we kind of live in our world that we live in.
What's up, NBA fans? Breon Page here with Fanatics View. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed and you want to see more content, subscribe down below.